It literally took me decades to go from starting to study Spanish to passing the C1 exam. I had years of inconsistent study habits, and during COVID, something finally clicked, and I passed the C1 exam in 2021. I never want to do that again with another language, and I'm going to talk a little bit in this video about what I do now. I started to learn Spanish when I was 18. I was in a class at Lewis and Clark in Portland, and the poet Kim Stafford was teaching one of my classes. And during that class, he read the first line. Well, he didn't read the first line. He recited the first line from memory of 100 Years of Solitude in English, and it really stuck with me. And I said, okay, I'm going to read this. Read the book, loved it, and I said, man, I really want to be able to learn this in the original. And so that was kind of the starting of my journey. I went down to the college language lab. I made copies of all the cassettes, and I bought a copy of the textbook, and I listened to those cassettes that summer for hours on end while I delivered pizza. And I took my first trip overseas to Venezuela for 3 months when I was 21. I really tried to do my best to avoid Europeans and Americans and speak Spanish as much as possible. Went to Peru in 1993 and made some very close friends who are lifetime friends now, and really got my conversational skills much better at that point. But for many years, I really just was kind of all over the place with scattered shot strategies on how to learn the language. At one point, I read Ahora by Carlos Fuentes. It was my first book in Spanish, and I looked up every single word that I didn't know in a dictionary. And nowadays, we've got much better tools and much better strategies on how to learn languages. And I was just kind of making things up as I went along. When COVID hit and we were all in lockdown, I decided I really wanted to take the C1 exam and prove to myself that I could deal with the language at a high level. I found a great coach on iTalki named Rosa, and I had followed Luca for quite a while, and I reached out to him and we did some personal coaching on strategies about how to really nail down the language. And certainly one of the things that Luca suggested was just picking one or two techniques, materials, and being super consistent with them and building over time. And so that's what I did. And I passed the exam. I finally framed it just last year, this fall. And then I bought 7 more frames because I want to just continue to pass some more exams at some point. I think I'm going to try and do French this year. I've got strategies now that I use to make sure that I'm consistent with languages and tools, and I'm going to talk about those more this coming week. And thanks for listening. Talk to you soon.